How's it going, everybody? And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about what is the point of school. And this is actually a question I ask myself a lot being in med school. And yesterday I was having a conversation with one of my friends who has been struggling and, they've had a rough few semesters and it's, really wondering like, why should you even see this thing through? And it all kind of seems pointless. And, um, I just wanted to respond to that and to talk about like why do I go to school and why do I think it's worth it? And I think a lot of people, myself included, for a long time thought and think that school's really just about learning stuff. Like, you're here because you want to learn whatever. So, you majored in biology, and the hope is that by the end of your 4-year program at whatever university, you're going to be really great at biology. And hopefully that means you're going to be able to go work in that field and, be successful in your career and all that stuff. Like that's the vision or the hope of, college education and why people are going to school. And I disagree with that. I think that that's incorrect because we live in times where so much information is so readily available to us through the internet, through videos like Khan Academy, that, just having information doesn't really get you any farther ahead anymore than it used to a couple decades ago. And that being said, the value of school back then and now and into the future, in my opinion, is more to do with the experiences that you have with other people and the experiences that you get from, being in a research group, for instance, is kind of one of the specifics that I can talk a little bit about in terms of my experience with UC Berkeley. And so, in terms of the actual content that I learned as a chemical engineer at UC Berkeley, like, yeah, almost all of it you could look up. Like, University of Colorado has like a fantastic YouTube series that details very well all the content you need to know to be an excellent engineer, chemical engineer. And that's great. Like anyone in the whole world can sit down and watch these videos and know this stuff better than I do. Probably know it better than most people. And so that's kind of it. So it's like, why would you go out of your way and spend all this money on school if you can just look all this stuff up online? And for me, I went to college because I wanted to be able to get a job, and I also wanted to go to med school. So that was kind of a bit of a hollower reason. But I was literally, I was like everyone else who thought, I'm here because I want to get a job, and if I don't get a college degree, then I'm not going to be able to get the job that I would want, was my assumption. And I could very well be wrong, and everyone is unique. And so there are people out there who don't even want to go to college and are able to be happy and successful in their life, and I envy them, and I admire them. But for me, like, I had that notion or belief that I had to do this, and so I was really just in college for getting a job out of the other end of it. And so in that regard, what I learned along the way is that, and I was doing job interviews. I worked while I was in college. I've been working since I was since my freshman summer. I was working part-time in various jobs, and I honestly really enjoy work. It's a nice thing for me to do that's not school related, where I actually feel more productive than I'm just studying and whatever. But all that aside, like, what I learned from working in the private sector while I was a student was that so much of the stuff that you'll talk about in an interview has nothing to do with, like, tell me this thing about biology. Like, if you were majoring in biology, they're not going to quiz you about, like, what's the structure of DNA? What did Watson and Crick really discover? Or how was Rosalind Franklin involved? Like, they're not going to ask you any of those questions that I know you're going to learn as a biology student, but they're going to want to know, like, and I, having worked on interview panels myself at some of my employers, also want to know is, like, I don't really care about any of that stuff because they probably already know it too. What we really care about is, why have your experiences made you a good candidate for this job? tell me why you think you're a good fit here. Like, do my job for me, because I honestly wouldn't even, I'm hesitant to even really read resumes because I feel like it will, it can lead to impressions that end up being wrong. So I'd much rather try to be as objective and fair with my, when I'm conducting interviews, to just, say like, I might look at your resume, most likely not because I'm busy with other stuff, but like, I have a set of questions that I will ask every single candidate, and these are open-ended questions. So there's not really a right answer, but I am very interested in knowing how you would answer these questions that I have. And I don't care if you went to college or not personally, but I know other people do, unfortunately. But the way I do my interviews with people is I just straight up go in there and I will ask people, tell me how you would just solve this problem, or tell me how you would handle this particular situation, or tell me about a time you failed with something. Like, I want to know in their own words, like, what have they done? And if there's specifics, like if it's a technical job, then yeah, I have to throw in a few questions that are like specific to that job that I know I have a hard time figuring out on my own. So I'll ask the person, like, how would you start this? What would you do? And usually I can have a good feel for whether or not the person even knows what they're talking about, because I'll understand some of the context behind those things. But yeah, my whole point here is like, what's the point of school? And if I think, a lot of people, the point of school is for getting that job or doing work that they want to do with their career. So it could be staying in academia. But in that sense, like, this ties in because it really just kind of boils down the whole point of school to it's about your experiences. Because people are going to remember stories and moments that you tell them much better than I did 4 years of blah, blah, blah at blah. Like, I don't really care. I honestly don't really care. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care what you majored in. I care about what you've done. Like, tell me about projects you've done that have motivated you. Tell me about teams you've worked on that have done really cool stuff. Tell me about times you've struggled and how you've motivated yourself through hard times. Like, that's interesting stuff that I'll actually remember about you. And so, if you view school from that perspective of school is this place where I'm supposed to have these types of interactions and experiences with people, where I'm on a team, where we're struggling, where we're working really hard to solve some challenging problem and we're, failing, but we're going to keep going at it just because, we got to get this thing right because we know it's important. Those are the types of things that really matter and are what provide the real value of school, of an education. It's not really the degree that I care about personally. I care much more about the experiences that people have had and how those experiences are going to help them move forward and solve new problems and work with new teams. And so that is the stuff that makes school valuable in my opinion. And I hope that, people who are in schools, that's how more people can begin to look at it. Because I think when you look at school in the lens of it's purely about me learning more about this one topic, and that honestly most of this content goes in one ear out the other after you move into the next semester, it's like, it seems really hollow. It's like, it's really about the experiences, and it's really about going somewhere that you can see yourself enjoying what you're doing and enjoying the people you're around and just enjoying the setting. And that's what makes school valuable. And so that's my opinion on this. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. And thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you guys next time.